Riding a MotoGP bike is like to ride a beast.
Francesco Bagnaia is facing a difficult decision. He has carried the number 63 throughout his Premier Class career, but a new challenge has arisen after grabbing the 2022 MotoGP Championship. His victory during last year's season has brought him new opportunities, and he could be the next reigning champion to run the number 1 after Casey Stoner. Since 2012, he changed his mind several times until he decided to show up with both numbers during his photo shoot with a 2023 bike and go with the one he felt was right. He has constantly been thinking about being the world champion, but every time he realizes that he is the fastest motorbike rider in the world, he gets even more excited. Unlike most of his peers, he can legally ride his motorcycle on the road now, after getting his license during the summer. He was anxious that he would not remember some things when riding with 2 hands, because he would have to keep both hands attached to the handlebars at all times, even when moving slowly. He's been obsessed with bikes since he was a child, since his father and uncle were amateur motorcycle riders. In fact, it was his grandfather who handed him his first motorcycle, a 3-wheeled one. When he was 5, he would ride in his grandfather's garden and destroy everything. His focus was more on speed, since he couldn't touch the ground with his knee, making him take a unique path. Last year's victory was the great feat for Francesco, especially considering that it was his first MotoGP championship win, and how things had been going for him from the start. How did he do it exactly? It seems like Valentino Rossi played a part in Francesco's path that led to his MotoGP title. Francesco recently revealed that he used to talk with Valentino Rossi over the phone weekly as he coached him toward his first MotoGP championship. His 2022 Premier Class championship was a huge deal for Francesco, as the last Italian to lift the title was Valentino Rossi in 2009. At the start of the year, Francesco had crashed not once or twice, but 5 times. But regular phone calls with his mentor Valentino Rossi gave him the strength to keep going. Francesco was one of the first to join Valentino's Sky Racing Team VR46, which is probably what led to the regular conversations. He had asked Valentino to coach him even though he knew it would be hard for him to do that when he already had to deal with his little girl and cars. They talked every weekend as Valentino advised him from his experience. When Valentino would come to see him, he would tell Francesco what he did, good and bad on the track. Valentino taught him to stay calm, enjoy every moment, and celebrate at the right time. Valentino had faced his worst career spell with Ducati, but he still played a huge role in returning them to the MotoGP summit. From Francesco, he viewed 2021 as a good season, but things changed when the team began the season of 2022. They struggled with the bike that could barely go well, but they eventually found the right path. He even made some mistakes. He had believed if he signed with Ducati, he would get good results if he had all the pieces, and indeed, they did succeed. Francesco will be the defending champion this year, and Fabio Quartararo, the 2021 champion, will be looking forward to taking back his title. Enea Bastianini and Marc Marquez, who have suffered from serious injuries over the past couple of years, will also be aiming to be on top form and fighting for the title. It was not only Valentino Rossi who brought back Francesco's spirit. He'd also received a pep talk from Andrea Iannone. Andrea had told Francesco some of his falls and surprised him a bit, but he had also told him that he had time to recover and was sure he would make his way back, which he did. Francesco is still going strong with Ducati, and there are a lot of opportunities ahead, including the Suzuka 8 Hours. Ducati course general manager Luigi Dall'Igna has not ruled out the possibility of Francesco's Suzuka 8 Hours future appearance. Francesco will continue to ride with Ducati until 2024 and has proved to be fast on the superbike machine when he won the championship for Ducati last year. He's looking forward to participating in the Suzuka 8 Hours. Ducati had not participated in the Suzuka 8 Hours race of 2022, and although the possibility of Francesco showing up for this year's race has been ruled out by Dall'Igna, he has not ruled out his possible appearance in 2024. When asked whether Francesco and Ducati would participate in the future Suzuka 8-hour races, he said it was an interesting dream and hoped it would come true. It'll be a bit difficult because of the technical problems that still need solving, but he would like to create a dream team for Suzuka. Dall'Igna does not think there'll be any talk about it this year, and probably next year, as it will take time to properly manage the idea. Participating in a race they will not do well in would not be a good idea. On top of that, there are still a lot of complications that Ducati has been facing because of the aero advances they've made in MotoGP. There have been several complaints. There have also been talks about rev limits that cost Kawasaki a lot in the previous season in World SBK that have been going on for quite a few years now. Dall'Igna is not shocked by complaints from other manufacturers that have voiced their displeasure, especially considering the several successes Ducati has been enjoying. He's not pleased by the ban on technical parts and calling for penalties, but there is not much he can do. Hopefully, Ducati will manage the challenges and give Francesco his opportunity at the Suzuka 8 Hours next year. Francesco has commented on Marc Marquez and considers him a racing animal for a good reason. Marc Marquez has been regaining his composure since the complicated seasons of 2020 and 2021. He has observed the improvements Marc has made since his injuries. He believes Marc Marquez is a risk taker and is willing to crash to achieve his goals, but nevertheless, he's looking forward to racing against him this year. Andrea Iannone is hoping for a planned return to MotoGP. He had a 4-year doping ban served against him, but that time is almost at an end. Yes, he plans to return, but the journey back will be very difficult. He had served some time with Ducati and their difficult bike, but he eventually had to watch as Ducati and Francesco took the championship he had dreamed of. Francesco may face a new rival next year if Andrea manages to make his way back, from giving him a pep talk to ultimately battling him. Francesco's not always had it easy, and even though his father and uncle were motorcycle riders, there was a time when his father had to raise his voice and speak out about a controversy that ensued when racing at an event some time back. Obviously, his father had no idea that he would become a world champion a few years later, making you wonder what would have happened if Francesco had agreed with his father's decision to stop racing altogether and find another sport to put his son in. Francesco was disappointed at the time and somewhat nervous, partly because his father had kept himself out of the chaos he saw as out of place. Francesco did not speak about the matter. He kept racing as he always did. His father knew he was a good man, especially since his school career had no complications. The spotlight will be on Francesco even more this year, with the planned release of There Can Only Be One, a documentary covering last year's events. The 4-part series will cover Francesco's journey last year, which led him to the World Championship. Claiming the MotoGP World Championship is one of the toughest challenges motorcycle riders face daily. 24 MotoGP riders usually start the season, but only a handful can become title contenders, and in the end, only one man can take the crown. The documentary covers the unforeseen obstacles and events, and the challenges the riders faced that season, eventually leading them to failure or success. The documentary series will be released this month. It'll cover seen and unseen and behind-the-scenes footage of the 5 contenders for the 2022 MotoGP World Championship, starting from pre-season to the final race in Valencia. The riders include Fabio Quartararo, Marc Marquez, Joan Mir, Alicia Spargaro, and of course Francesco Bagnaia, a rising star. The documentary's major focus is the force battles, intense rivalry, twists and turns. As far as it goes, anyone who's not afraid of Francesco Bagnaia is crazy. At least, that is what Gigi Dall'Igna thinks. Despite the mistakes Pecco has made while with Ducati, he's always been supported and never criticized by the team. Gigi has seen the errors, points lost, which show how dominant Francesco can be with a bit of fine-tuning. From several errors to being a world champion, he believes he can make history. But while Francesco should be feared, another rider that should also be feared this year is the great 6-time Premier Class world champion, Marc Marquez. Francesco has a lot on his plate, and stepping into the future, it looks likely he'll remain with Ducati for the foreseeable future. If Pecco can keep up his winning ways, then we all know how it works by now. Will money talk, or will the titles be more of an attraction for him? There are a lot of expectations on Francesco after he won the previous season. Will he be able to do the same this season? We'd love to hear what you have to say in the comments below.